In the early morning hours of December 15, 2011, a quiet stretch of Alberta Highway 2 became the site of one of Canada's most shocking crimes, a moment of jealousy, rage, and heartbreak that claimed 4 young lives. It began as a night of celebration, a birthday, a road trip, friends heading home for the holidays. But by dawn, police would find 2 vehicles on the side of the road just north of Claresholm. One SUV riddled with bullets, a young woman barely clinging to life, and 4 dreams extinguished on the cold prairie asphalt. This is the story of the Claresholm Highway Shooting, a tragedy that revealed how quickly love can turn to obsession and how one man's unraveling changed 4 families forever.
It all began in Lethbridge, Alberta, a close-knit community where 21-year-old Derek Jensen and Tabitha Stepple first met. The 2 were young, ambitious, and inseparable at first. Jensen, a paramedic student with quiet confidence, and Stepple, outgoing and full of life. They met in a downtown nightclub, fell quickly into a relationship, and soon moved into a basement suite together. But as often happens with young love, tension started to grow. By Halloween of 2011, the relationship had ended, though they still shared the same space, navigating the uncomfortable limbo between love and loss. There had been no police reports, no signs of violence, no hint of the storm that was coming. Friends described Jensen as quiet, loyal, even kind. But those same friends would later recall something changing in his demeanor after the breakup, an undercurrent of bitterness, a growing darkness that no one recognized in time.
On December 14, 2011, Jensen's friends took him out to a pub in Lethbridge, a night to unwind, to lift his spirits. Inside that same pub, fate intervened. Sitting just a few tables away was his ex-girlfriend, Tabitha Stepple, celebrating with friends. Tanner Craswell and Mitch McLean, both 20 and 22, talented baseball players for the Lethbridge Bulls, and Shayna Conway, Tanner's girlfriend and Tabitha's co-worker. What happened next was brief but explosive. Jensen saw Stepple, laughing, smiling, enjoying the night, and something inside him snapped. Witnesses said he confronted her, shoving her chair and sparking a heated argument before storming out. His friends tried to calm him down, urging him to let it go. Jensen told them he was heading home, but instead, he began making phone calls, one after another, to Stepple. His final message to her was chilling. "This night's not going to end well for you. I hope you know that."
Meanwhile, Stepple, Conway, Craswell, and McLean left Lethbridge around midnight. They had an early morning flight out of Calgary, a 5 a.m. departure back to Prince Edward Island to spend Christmas with family. They stopped briefly in Claresholm around 3 a.m., pulling into a 7-Eleven for snacks and coffee. Surveillance cameras captured them inside, smiling, unaware that Derek Jensen's green Pontiac Sunfire had pulled in just moments later. He didn't confront them, he simply waited. When they drove north again on Highway 2, Jensen followed. Somewhere between Claresholm and Staveley, he rammed his car into the back of their Ford Escape. Startled, the group pulled over. Shayna Conway got out to see what had happened, thinking it was a stranger, maybe a drunk driver. But as she approached the other car, Jensen stepped out, raised a 9mm handgun, and opened fire. He shot Conway 3 times, then turned toward the SUV. Inside, Tabitha Stepple, Tanner Craswell, and Mitch McLean had no chance to react. Jensen fired multiple rounds into the vehicle, killing Tabitha and Tanner instantly. Mitch, wounded but alive, managed to crawl out of the SUV and stumbled toward the highway before collapsing. Moments later, Derek Jensen turned the gun on himself.
When police arrived, the scene was almost surreal. The 2 vehicles illuminated by flashing lights under the vast prairie sky. 4 young lives scattered in tragedy. Shayna Conway, though gravely wounded, survived. She was the only one left to tell what happened, the only voice that could piece together the final moments of her friends. News of the shooting sent shockwaves across the country. In Lethbridge, teammates and classmates gathered in silence at the Bulls' home field. Flowers, baseballs, and handwritten notes covered the dugout steps. Across Prince Edward Island, communities mourned the loss of two local heroes who had gone west chasing their dreams. In the following weeks, police pieced together Jensen's final hours. The anger, the calls, the pursuit. There were no drugs, no prior violence, no warning signs. Just a young man whose heartbreak turned to obsession and ended in unthinkable violence.
The Claresholm Highway shooting left a scar on Alberta's landscape, a reminder of how fragile life can be, how quickly love can twist into something deadly when obsession takes hold. For the families of Tabitha Stepple, Tanner Craswell, and Mitch McLean, the years that followed were filled with grief and what-ifs. For Shayna Conway, survival meant carrying the memory of that night, a story of resilience born from unimaginable loss. In their honor, the Lethbridge Bulls retired the jerseys of Tanner and Mitch, and scholarships were created in their names. Their legacy now lives not in tragedy, but in the dreams of young athletes who will never forget their story. As for Derek Jensen, his actions remain a haunting reminder. Jealousy and control can be as deadly as any weapon, and the smallest moment, a confrontation, a choice, a turn of the wheel, can unravel everything. On that quiet highway outside Claresholm, under a sky filled with stars, 4 young people crossed paths one final time, and Canada was left asking why. This is Northern Nightmares, true stories from the dark corners of Canada. Stay safe, stay aware, and remember, sometimes the monsters we fear are the ones we think we know.